A quick ChartMill video on how to search for the most attractive value shares. So the focus is entirely on companies trading below their intrinsic value. Because value investors are always trying to buy a stock for less than he or she thinks it is currently worth. So investors who apply this strategy assume that the markets always exaggerate on good or less good news. For example, a company whose share price falls suddenly sharply because the quarterly results were somewhat below expectations, but whose long-term fundamentals remain strong, are very interesting for value investors. And a good place to start looking for value shares is our stock screener ChartMill. So how do we find the best value stocks with our stock screener? On the home page of ChartMill, we select the stock screening tab. And as you can see, without any filters used, ChartMill has almost 25,000 shares in its database. For this example, I'm going to select the General tab under the stock screener. I will only use shares with a price of at least $10. An average volume, 50 daily average volume, bigger than 300,000 shares, and US only. And that narrows it down to about 2,200 shares with only these three basic filters. Next, we will select the Fundamental tab, and this may seem rather overwhelming due to the number of available filters, but we will only use those which are needed to identify those typical value stocks. So in this example, price earnings below 8, the PEG ratio below 1, and price book below 2. Now, if you want more information about these fundamental filters, if we go to the home page again, there is a documentation section. Click on it, and then in the left corner menu, you select the screener, and then you have fundamental screening documentation, part 1 till part 4. For example, part 1. In each article, the filters highlighted are explained. Dividend growth, dividend payout, price earnings. For example, our PEG ratio. So a PEG ratio below 1, the company is considered undervalued and the stock price is cheap. So we have a whole documentation section where you can find more information about these filters. Back to our screener. So with these three additional filters, price earnings, PEG ratio and price book, we came from 2,200 shares, and we only have left about approximately 14, I guess. Yes, 14 shares. This is the table view, but there are some other choices. For example, the fundamental view. Once again, due to the filters we've used, you can see that each of these stocks have high valuation ratings between 3.5 and 5 stars. KKR, 4 star. Carlyle, even 5 stars valuation rating. If you want to check the technical conditions, we can select the technical view. And here you can review the technical rating and the setup rating. Now, to know more about those technical and setup ratings, you can check the documentation section. On the home screen, you check documentation. You select screener, and then if you scroll down, under the other screening ideas, ChartMill technical rating and setup quality scores, click on it, and then you have a brief explanation. So the ChartMill technical rating, it quantifies the technical health of the stock, taking into account both the long and short-term time frames. And then the setup rating, it quantifies the quality of the setup pattern. So typically a good setup is available when the stock is forming some kind of consolidation or a base pattern. And several other properties are taken into account. You can read them over here. So back to our stock screener. KKR, ChartMill technical rating 5 stars and the setup rating 3.5 stars. And same goes on for Carlyle, ChartMill technical rating 5 stars, setup rating 3.5 stars. So if we check the charts, so KKR, in the left corner there, the ChartMill technical rating and the setup rating is also mentioned. So 10 out of 10 for the technical rating and 7 out of 10 for the setup rating. So the trend for KKR is clearly up. Now price is retracing a little bit. Same pattern for Carlyle. It's even better because we have also a very steep uptrend. Price is retracing and it's very close to a major support zone, the 24 level. So that's the difference between those two. And because we are these are value stocks, so maybe this is also important. I'm going back to the fundamental view. The difference between KKR and Carlyle. KKR, it has a dividend yield of 3.02%, but for Carlyle that is 9.80%. That's a rather big difference for a value investor. So back to the charts. Let's say that you want to save those two, KKR and Carlyle Group, CG. We select them both. Then we click on the settings icon over here. And then add selection to list. I have already a list which is called value stocks with a good technical setup. Click on it and then you can see that the list is updated successfully. If you don't have such a list, you can create one over here with this button. Now if I'm going under my chart settings, load watch list, for example, this is another one. If I want to see the watch list, so this one, the value stocks with good technical setup, then now we see both KKR and CG as both value stocks with very good technical conditions. To end this video, I'm going back to the stock screener settings, the original stock screener settings. So to find those value stocks, we have selected 3 basic filters: price, average, volume, and exchange. And then on top of that, we've selected 3 specific fundamental filters to identify typical value stocks: price earnings, PEG ratio, and price book. Now, if you want to use this filter, those 6 filters, once again in the near future, you can save these stock screener settings. You can do so by clicking on the settings icon, save settings, save, and then you provide a name. For example, value stocks US. Click OK, and the list is saved successfully. So now if I'm on the home page and I'm going to the stock screener, and now this is all blank, I select settings, load settings, value stocks US, et voila, we have immediately the right filters in the right place.